Am I the antagonist for forcing my brother to buy me a new engagement ring? I am a 26-year-old male proposing to my girlfriend, who is 24 years old, on our 4th anniversary, which is on September 30th. I have been planning this for about a month and picked out the ring a couple of weeks ago. It was on sale, so I managed to get it at a surprisingly low price. Last weekend, I told my 33-year-old brother about my plans and showed him the ring. He then informed me that he was also planning to propose to his 29-year-old girlfriend. The next day, my brother came to my apartment while my girlfriend was not there. He asked me if he could borrow my ring to propose to his girlfriend. At first I thought he was joking, but he was serious. His plan was to propose to his girlfriend using my ring as a placeholder and then take her to pick her own ring later. He didn't want to spend too much money right away in case she said no. I had never heard of placeholder rings, so I declined, and we moved on from the conversation. On Tuesday, he proposed to his girlfriend with my ring. He had taken it without my knowledge when he left my apartment. I didn't notice it was missing until his fiancée sent a picture of herself wearing the ring to our family group chat. I called him to ask about the ring, and he immediately apologized and promised to return it to me. However, it was already pointless for me to propose using the same ring since my girlfriend had seen it and his fiancée had posted about it on social media. We argued about it, and he admitted that while he had told his fiancée the ring was a placeholder, he didn't disclose where he got it from. I was more upset and betrayed by the fact that he went behind my back and took the ring after I had said no than the fact that he stole it. I also knew that his fiancée wouldn't appreciate learning that her engagement ring had been stolen from me. So I told my brother that if he didn't buy me a new engagement ring, I would tell her the truth. He resisted for a few hours, but eventually gave in and agreed. Yesterday, we went to a different jewelry store and I selected a new ring. I managed to find one within the same price range, but it was still $100 more expensive. My brother purchased the ring, but is still accusing me of being inconsiderate and childish. He insists that he would have returned the ring if I had given him the chance, and that I didn't need to force him to spend so much money on me. Now he is refusing to communicate with me. I don't know how to feel about this situation anymore. Usually I would discuss these things with my brother, so it's surreal that he is the one I'm fighting with. I can't confide in my fiancé, and many of our friends are mutual. The only other person who knows about this is our mom, who is divided in her opinion. She agrees that what my brother did was wrong, and I have a right to be angry with him. However, she believes that I went too far by threatening his relationship. Am I the asshole? Your brother was completely in the wrong here. He not only took your ring without your permission, but he also went against your wishes by proposing with it. It was incredibly disrespectful and thoughtless of him, especially considering the effort and planning you had put into your own proposal. Furthermore, his reasoning for wanting to use your ring as a placeholder was flimsy at best. If he had any doubts about his relationship, he should not have been proposing in the first place. It's not your responsibility to cover for his uncertainty. While it might not have been ideal to threaten to reveal the truth to his fiancée, it was understandable in your frustration and desire to ensure that you were compensated for the stolen ring. It seems like your brother needed that wake-up call to understand the gravity of his actions. Your brother is now deflecting blame onto you and accusing you of being inconsiderate and childish. This is simply him trying to avoid taking responsibility for his own actions. You have every right to be upset and demand a new ring. In the end, it's up to you how you want to handle your relationship with your brother moving forward. However, it's important to remember that you are not at fault here and deserve to be treated with respect and consideration. Am I the antagonist for making my daughter write an apology letter to her teacher? My husband, 37-year-old male, and I, 37-year-old female, have 4 children, 16-year-old female, 15-year-old male, 13-year-old female, and 13-year-old male. Our twins are in the 8th grade, named Bayard and Adeline. On Monday, both my husband and I got texts from Bayard, who wanted to talk to us when we got home. This seemed strange, so we discussed it before the kids arrived. Once they were home, we went to Bayard's room and had a conversation with him. He informed us that he had heard Adeline being rude to their history teacher, who also happened to be Bayard's baseball coach and taught him in another period. The teacher is highly respected by Bayard and his friends, as she is very knowledgeable about the sport and often discusses the games and provides advice. Bayard was incredibly angry, which was unusual for him, as he had a red face. He didn't know all the specific details, but he heard from some kids that Adeline had asked the teacher if she was on her period. We sent an email to the teacher and received a response on Tuesday. She confirmed that everything Bayard had reported was true and provided more information. What she shared was truly horrifying. According to her, Adeline was conversing with her friends while the teacher was trying to deliver instructions to the class. When the teacher asked Adeline to stop, she refused. The topic being discussed was Thomas Jefferson, and one of the students asked if he was autistic, as they had read about it somewhere. Adeline and her friends proceeded to make jokes about autistic people and insulted them. One of the kids on Bayard's baseball team and his friend is autistic, and Adeline is well aware of this fact. This boy is intelligent and kind. The teacher told Adeline that her behavior was not nice and tried to provide some education about autism. It was at this point that Adeline accused the teacher of overreacting and asked if she was on her period. The teacher admitted that she didn't call us because of bad experiences with previous phone calls of this nature and was afraid of our reaction. We assured her that she didn't need to worry. Following this incident, my husband and I discussed the situation and agreed that Adeline should have her phone taken away for at least a few weeks. Additionally, she needed to write apology letters to both her teacher and the boy she insulted, even though he wasn't in her class during that period. Adeline did write apology letters, but they seemed insincere and potentially generated by artificial intelligence. When we questioned her about it, she admitted using AI to write them. We told her that the letters needed to be genuine, but she is refusing to write a new one. She claims that being forced to apologize goes against her right to express her true thoughts and has resorted to name-calling, even referring to us as a-holes. Am I the a-hole? It is completely reasonable for you and your husband to discipline Adeline for her disrespectful behavior towards both her teacher and her classmate with autism. Using AI to write apology letters shows a lack of effort and sincerity on Adeline's part. As her parents, it is your responsibility to teach her the importance of empathy, accountability, and respect. By holding her accountable for her actions, you are teaching valuable life lessons. Adeline's argument about her right to express her thoughts is invalid in this situation, as she crossed the line by making derogatory comments and insulting her teacher. Am I the antagonist for not forcing my husband to apologize to my family? I, a 44-year-old female, was diagnosed with a large benign brain tumor earlier this year. I underwent surgery to have it removed. Leading up to the surgery, I was very ill. I slept for more than 15 hours a day, experienced daily vomiting, severe headaches, and was in a terrible state. My husband was extremely worried and couldn't sleep, fearing I might not wake up if I fell asleep. Only my sister, mother, husband, and aunt visited me in the hospital before the surgery. After the surgery, I had mobility issues and had to rely on a walker and someone's support to walk for a month. When I woke up after the surgery, my parents and my husband were there. My parents asked about my well-being, but then abruptly informed me that they were taking my 2 kids on a trip to Puerto Rico. They also mentioned another vacation with my children that I hadn't heard about. Being in a confused state due to my brain resetting itself, I was taken aback since they hadn't consulted me. I was short with them, and they left. This interaction bothered me so much that I asked them to visit me at home when I was discharged to discuss it. The discussion didn't go well. They came expecting praise, but when I brought up how inappropriate the conversation was and how they didn't even help me get into the house, resulting in me falling despite my husband's efforts, they became offended. I expressed that I was also offended, and my dad started yelling, trying to blame my husband for everything. My husband and children who were upstairs overheard the entire argument. I yelled at my parents to leave, and my husband rushed to comfort me while I cried. The side effects of the steroids I was taking were horrible, causing sleeplessness for both me and my husband since he had to keep an eye on me at all times. Unbeknownst to me, my parents contacted a friend of mine online, suggesting that they were worried about my physical safety. This friend, who lives in a different state and has never met my husband in person, reached out to him on Facebook, asking him probing questions at the behest of my parents. My husband, who was exhausted and disgusted by how my family treated me, vented to her about my family and how he was trying to follow my wishes. He also mentioned my parents' alcoholism. My relationship with my family has been strained for the past 6 months, and I was making efforts to improve it until yesterday, when my dad mentioned that the friend had sent him screenshots of her conversation with my husband. He said he was offended by them and demanded an apology, despite never apologizing to me. Although my parents recently gave us money towards buying a house, I disagree with the idea of forcing my husband to apologize, and I believe he deserves an apology as well. Am I the asshole? You have been through an incredibly traumatic experience, with a brain tumor diagnosis and surgery, and your parents have shown a complete lack of empathy and support. It is completely understandable that you would be hurt and upset by their behavior in the hospital and their disregard for your well-being after surgery. It is also completely understandable that your husband would be protective and upset by their behavior, as he has been by your side through this entire ordeal. The fact that your parents reached out to a friend of yours, trying to undermine your husband and betray your trust, is extremely manipulative and unacceptable. Your husband has every right to express his feelings about how your family has treated you, especially to a friend he trusts. He's been taking care of you and supporting you, and his frustration and exhaustion are completely justified. You are entitled to your feelings and to stand up for yourself and your husband. It is not fair for your parents to demand an apology without acknowledging their own behavior and offering apologies themselves. Their gift of money towards a house purchase does not excuse their actions or give them a pass to disregard your feelings. You and your husband should prioritize your own well-being and emotional health. It may be necessary to set boundaries with your parents and take some time to distance yourself from their toxic behavior. Am I the antagonist for not helping with chores at the Airbnb after I said I would not? I have a group of friends I haven't seen in a long time, as we are all older now, mid-50s, and most have scattered around the country. We decided to put together a girls' vacation. Once we agreed on dates and a location, we started looking for places to stay. We all talked about what we wanted, type of location, budget, etc., and I was adamant that I did not want to stay at an Airbnb. There are many reasons I did not want to, but one of the reasons I listed was that I do not go on vacation so that I can do chores. And in this case in particular, I was also going to have to leave early in the morning for my flight home because I had a training meeting at work that I needed to be home in time for. After much discussion, the rest of the group said sorry in order to meet the rest of the requests and stay in budget for everyone, and Airbnb is the only option. I suggested that I could stay at a nearby hotel and just meet up with them during the day, but apparently that was going to screw up the budget for other folks. They told me that since I hated the chore side of things, they could take care of all of the chores. I didn't want to be a jerk about it, so I said that I would be willing to put my linens somewhere, washing machine, laundry pile, whatever, and that I would stay on top of washing any cups/dishes/etc. that I used. They all assured me this was plenty, and would be no problem for them to do whatever else needed to be done. The vacation itself was lovely. We had a lot of fun and laughs, and it was great to hang out. I did not read the checkout cleaning rules because I knew it would piss me off, but I asked what the expectation was for our linens, and one of the ladies said we had to start a load of laundry so I could put my linens in the washer. I kept my dishes, utensils washed and clean throughout, and I put my linens in the washer on the final morning and headed to the airport when everyone else was just getting up. I also only threw garbage into the shared kitchen garbage since I know many places ask you to take out the garbage. I thought all was well, but this morning I had coffee with my best friend, and when I brought up how great I thought things went on the trip, she got a little awkward, and eventually told me that everyone else was angry at me after I left. I guess there was a lot on the cleaning list, and everyone was stressed about getting stuff done before the checkout and their own flights home, and they felt I should have helped with the chores since I was up early. My best friend, bless her, reminded them that they had all agreed that I didn't need to do any chores, and I had taken care of what I said I would. But apparently they said that no reasonable person would think it was okay, and it was very selfish and rude of me to just leave. I've already decided that if there's another trip, I won't be going unless we're at a hotel, but I'd still like to know, am I the asshole? You clearly communicated your preference of not staying at an Airbnb and offered an alternative solution by staying at a nearby hotel. However, your friends insisted on an Airbnb due to budget constraints. They assured you that they would take care of the chores to accommodate your preference. You held up your end of the agreement by keeping your dishes clean and putting your linens in the washer on the final morning before leaving for your flight. Your friends' anger and accusations of you being selfish and rude seem unwarranted and unfair. They agreed to handle the chores, and you fulfilled your part of the agreed-upon arrangement. It's unreasonable for them to expect you to help with additional cleaning tasks when they had assured you that you didn't need to do any. It's understandable that you may not want to participate in future trips unless they opt for a hotel. Your friends might need a reminder about the prior agreement and how you fulfilled your responsibilities. Hopefully, they can understand your perspective and avoid a similar situation in the future. Am I the antagonist for not inviting my aunt who risked her life to save me to my wedding? I, 24 female, am soon getting married to my fiancé, 25 male. We sent out the invitations a little over 3 months ago and invited mostly close friends and family, all except for my aunt. Let's call her Linda. Now, to explain the title, when I was 3 years old, I went hiking on a trail with my aunt, uncle, sister, and some friends. We stopped by a ledge with beautiful scenery to take pictures, and when my uncle said it was time to move on with the trail, I refused to leave because, well, I was a stubborn 3-year-old. My uncle would have to drag me, and right the second he would let go, I would run back for no damn reason at all. Man, I was a dumbass. The last time he pulled me, I ran as fast as I could because I was a 3-year-old dumbass and fell 20 feet right into the lake below the ledge. The water was deep for me, and I started crying in fear, and everybody started panicking and trying to find a way to get down. But Linda jumped right into the water. She jumped down to make sure I was okay and helped me get to safety. I adored her ever since, but that soon changed a couple years later. Ever since I came out as bisexual, she hasn't even looked me in the eyes. She was a huge Christian and would call me slurs, mentally abuse me, guilt-trip me with stuff such as "I saved your life and you do this." I locked me in my room with no bathroom, water, food, or anything, and tried to send me to a gay conversion camp, but nobody approved. She wouldn't even take care of me when needed. I was only 13. Fast forward now, I was engaged to my boyfriend of 6 years and was over the moon thrilled. We sent out wedding invitations and the word spread around about my weddings, and Linda overheard and saw that she wasn't invited. When I tell you this woman went ballistic, I read and listened to each and every one of her texts and voicemails of her going on about how I was a disappointment to the family, even though I got into college and not her. How she dreamed about my wedding since I was a baby, and, oh yeah, the guilt tripping. I couldn't take this anymore and blocked her on everything. My parents and sister were very upset with her and didn't approve of her behavior at all. We just had our bachelorette party last week, and this woman somehow invited herself to it and had the audacity to bring a gift. I immediately tried to kick her out, but she manipulated everyone into letting her stay and ruined my whole evening. Everyone except for my parents, older sister, and family-in-law are treating me like I am the asshole. Am I the asshole? From the information provided, it is clear that Linda has treated you poorly and has been abusive towards you since you came out as bisexual. It is completely understandable that you wouldn't want her at your wedding and would want to distance yourself from her negativity. Blocking her after her inappropriate reaction to not receiving an invitation was a reasonable response. Her intrusion into your bachelorette party, despite your attempts to remove her, shows a disregard for your boundaries and a lack of respect for your feelings. It is understandable that you feel upset and frustrated with her behavior. Your immediate family, who seem to be supportive of you, are on your side and recognize the negative impact that Linda's actions have had on your well-being. It is essential to prioritize your own mental and emotional health, and not inviting someone who has consistently mistreated you is a valid choice. Overall, you have a right to decide who attends your wedding and to remove toxic individuals from your life. Am I the antagonist for refusing to stay with my parents and be forced into marriage? I will try to keep this short and simple as I'm all over the place and I'm stressed right now. My 20-year-old female parents, 48-year-old female and 61-year-old male, are the stereotype of an Asian parent. They are the literal definition of helicopter parents, and this time they crossed the line. So I'm moving out of my parents' house. I'm assembling furniture and moving it into my new house alone, with my cat. My parents have been hassling me about moving out before marriage and moving out in general. A few things my mom has enjoyed saying recently are, "Why can't you just be like your brother? My brother who died at 3. Like, how am I supposed to do that? Don't you love me?" Among other things. So I'm 2 days into moving into my house. I've already set up a few rooms and was working on getting my bed put together when my mom calls me. Here's a summary of what she said. "I have found you something you will enjoy a lot." I'm thinking maybe she's finally warmed up to me moving out and got me something. No, nothing like that. My mother had brought over her nephew, my cousin. I know a lot of Asian cultures call a lot of people aunties, etc. But this is like my mom's brother's son. She told me about how he's in school for a medical license and will be able to provide for me and that BS. At this point, I'm confused and ask what's happening. She excitedly told me that she wants me to marry my cousin. I proceeded to yell at her for like half an hour. She cried and was saying things like, "Don't you love your mother? Why must you hurt me so as well as other things?" I basically just walked out. Now, I'm thinking about it sitting in my new room, and I don't know if I'm a complete jerk for snapping and screaming at my mother about needing independence and her being annoying and controlling as hell, and 2, what I should do as of now. It is completely understandable that you snapped and yelled at your mother in this situation. It is not okay for her to pressure you into marrying your cousin, especially without your consent. Your desire for independence is valid, and it is important for you to establish boundaries with your parents. It may be necessary for you to cut contact with them, especially if they continue to disrespect your choices and boundaries. Seeking therapy can also be beneficial in dealing with the emotional turmoil caused by your parents' controlling behavior. Remember, you deserve to live your life on your own terms. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.